Hey guys, welcome back to the Run with Jay channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a Strava 101 tutorial. So basically this will be for people who've never used Strava before or are using it for the first time. So a couple of videos ago, I did a topic on 10 things you didn't know you could do with Strava, and I received great feedback, and a couple of people suggested that I do a tutorial on how to get started and set up for using Strava for the first time. So if you guys are new to this channel, welcome. Please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button down below, as well as the bell for video notifications, and let's get started. So for demonstration today, we're going to be using the iPhone as a layout for the app. So if you haven't yet, go into the Apple Store or the Google Play Store to download the Strava app. And once you do that, it's going to ask you to sign up. And then there's a couple ways you can sign up. You can either use your Facebook account or use your Google account, or if you have an Apple account, or you can just simply sign up with email. So for demonstration purposes, we're going to go ahead with email today. So once you put in your email, it's going to ask you to create your profile, which is pretty standard in every app. You're going to basically enter your name, first and last, and then you're going to go ahead with entering your birth date, as well as choosing the gender, and then you'll go ahead and click continue, and then you'll be moving on to the next step. And then Strava asks if they can contact you for any monthly stats, promotions, or updates. So you can allow yes or no. And then next, it'll be for notifications. If you like to receive notifications regarding Strava, like if someone, athletes, does something, or if Strava has any notifications, you can choose to receive that or not. And then you'll get something called STRAVA Summit, which is basically the premium version of Strava. And it's cost $59.99 US currently, and I believe currently they have a 1-month trial that you can get on, but it's billed yearly, and it basically is the premium version of Strava, and it offers some benefits like more data analysis, and you'll be able to track your training better with some other tools. So some of the Strava Summit features are custom goals, where you can set goals for segments, personal time or distance, training plans. You also have race analysis, for live performance data, pace analysis, something called Beacon, which is like a live locate tool for other people to track you in case you're far away, personal heat maps, workout analysis, live segments, and power analysis. So there's tons of features that Strava Summit offers, and you can get this for $59.99 and with an annual membership. So Strava, Summit is nice. If you're really serious about your training, this might be something to look into. But if you're just new to Strava, you might want to use the app first before you start, paying for this, just to check it out how it is. So like I said, the first month you can use for free, and then once you skip that, you can literally start recording and go to run right away. So you would just hit let's go, and basically you can start running, or you can hit later to go set up your app more. So here you'll allow location access. So basically you have to turn it on in order for the GPS locate you, in order for you to go run. And if you don't have a smartwatch and just use your phone for most of the times, you can skip the other steps and just go ahead and press record. And then you'll choose a sport that you'll use primarily. So as you can see, Strava has tons of sports that you can choose from. For most of the athletes on the app, basically use it for cycling and running as their primary sport, but some Garmin watches I know handles other sports such as indoor biking or skiing. So those are some things you can also look into. So once you choose your sport, you basically can start running. And then in your running starting screen, you'll have 3 icons that are above the start button. So the first one on the left is for routes. So if you go to the actual Strava website on a desktop, you can create routes for you that you can run with. So once you create them, you can implement them onto your phone, and then you can actually run, and it'll tell you directions on where to turn and things like that. And then in the middle, the shoe button is basically where you select your sport whenever you hit the before you run. So if you're doing cycling, or biking or swimming, you would select that first before hitting the start button. And then lastly on the right is Beacon, which is a STRAVA Summit perk where someone can live track you. So we're not going to run today, so we're going to go ahead and set up the app more. And next it's going to ask to sync your contacts. So if it's going to go through your phone, your Facebook, all your social media to see if anybody else uses Strava. And then if you already know someone that has Strava, you can go ahead and search for them on the search toolbar in this screen. And if you don't want to, you can just hit cancel and go to the next. So when you search for someone, you put them in and it'll have all the lists show up, and you basically will just have to hit the follow button to follow the person that you want. Some athletes, however, have their privacy set, so you will have to request to follow them, similar to like Facebook or other apps where you can't just follow them right away. They will have to approve or decline your request to follow them. So some people like to have privacy and doesn't want anybody to follow them and see their training status. So basically you're all set and you're ready to go. So next we'll look at the dashboard. So the dashboard is where you primarily be spending most of your time in, and the default screen when you log into your app. So the first thing you want to do is connect a watch, a GPS or smartwatch if you have one, and they'll show you the list of watches that it can accept. And obviously Garmin, Apple, Fitbit, those are very popular watches. However, if you don't see your watch, you can go see more devices on the bottom. And then once you have your watch set up, you basically don't even need your phone anymore. Your smartwatch will basically, you can start and stop your runs on there, and then once it's done, it'll tell you your run is ready, and it'll sync to Strava automatically when you get to your cell phone. So in your dashboard, to navigate around, you'll see the fields on the top. So there is following, you, and clubs. So for following, it's basically, this will show you all of the people you're following. It'll give you all of the stats about them, any latest runs that they did, any posts that they did. So for you, it'll basically show everything that you posted, including your runs and non-run posts like pictures or articles. And clubs is where it'll show information about your clubs and any runs that athletes in those clubs did. So clubs are a big part of Strava, and you can, look around and join clubs from all over the world or even in your local area to connect with people that are into your sport, or connect with people that are in your current club you have in real life. So a club's a cool feature to use. And then when you get to the top, there's also a plus button which will drop down another set of options. The first is post. So post is where you can post articles and things non-run related. So if you want to post a video that you found or you share something, that's where you would post it. For photos, that's where you would post any photos that you want. So like Facebook, you can just post photos on Strava as well, and it'll show up on the feed. And the last one on the right is to add a manual activity. So in case your watch messed up or you weren't able to record an activity, you can manually add it yourself. So you'll input the sport that you did, the time, when it took place, the title, and name, and run. So you can enter this all manually, and it'll be like you just did the activity yourself. So this is cool if something happened to your watch or a run wasn't recorded. So on the bottom of the app, you'll see a toolbar as well, which will feature things like feed, explore, record, profile, and training. So for training, we'll go ahead and skip this because it's part of the Strava Summit package that you'll have to purchase. And basically, this is the place where it'll tell you all of that information about your training that we saw earlier, such as live race analysis, also race data. So it has all of your data in that area. So profile is basically like any other app where you create your profile. So here you can edit your picture, You can find friends. You can check out your training, how you've been doing this week. Things like set weekly goal and annual goal are part of STRAVA Summit, which is why they are grayed out. And here you can also check your activities. This is where you'll show all of the latest activities that you've done. And statistics will tell you how you're doing for the year. So it'll be average time, week, and distance, and tells you how much runs you've done year to date. So this gives you a lot of information here, so you can do it for all the other sports like biking and swimming as well. And gear, this is where you can see your gear that you've added. Well, for this you would have to go to the Strava desktop website to add things like shoes or bicycles that you have, so you can track how many miles that you've had on them. So I use this a lot for my shoes because it tells me how many miles I have until I need to replace them. So this is a cool feature to have on Strava. So the next, you'll have things like start segments. So basically segments are routes or trails that other athletes create, and then you can actually star them if you want to go ahead and attack their time. It's kind of like a small mini competition where you can go to their routes or segments and then try to compete with their fastest time, and anybody in the world can go to these segments and kind of like race for the time trial to get the top spot in the time. So it's a pretty fun feature to do if you're interested in seeing how fast you're doing, and just to practice that same segment that you've been having trouble on. And then lastly, routes is where you can create your routes, and it'll tell you all of the saved routes that you have, and you have to do this on the Strava website application. So next you'll have the record button, and the record button is basically where you can hit if you're going to go on a run. So if you're not carrying your smartwatch and you just have your phone, this is the button you'll need to hit if you want to start your run. And on the top it'll tell you the GPS signals acquired, and then you can basically start running and it'll start recording your data. So the next we have is something called Explore. So Explore is a place where you can kind of check out other things available in Strava. You can explore segments that other athletes have created, so you can go to those segments and challenge the time that's set. You can see the all-time leaderboard. Then there's clubs where you can go and locate clubs all over the world, and you can sort by different type of sport, location. So there's tons of clubs available that you can join. Then there's challenges, which most part are free, where you can kind of challenge yourself to maybe do a half marathon or do a 5K or complete a certain amount of miles in a month. So these are fun to kind of push you to keep on training and working hard in order to get these badges. So explorers are pretty fun. You can there's tons of stuff in here. You can check it out. And personally, I come here in the beginning of every month to sign up for the basic distance and like 5K, 10K marathon challenges to get those badges. And lastly, for you is kind of like an aggregate of everything where you can check out the different segments near you, clubs near you. So like basic news and recommendations. So yeah, that is the Explore option. And lastly, the feed is where basically your default page is. And then you'll notice on the top right there are two shortcuts. One is the bell, which is your notification icon. So once you click that, it'll give you all the notifications that you have, kind of just like any social media app, of any new updates that you haven't read yet. So it'll tell you activities you've done, who have liked your posts, or who have followed you. And then next you'll have these two friends, two-head icon, basically as where you can find friends. So here you can search or connect through Facebook, sync through your contacts, and to add a place where you can add more friends. And then on the bottom you can also invite people that don't have Strava yet. So if you want to invite a buddy to use Strava, click the invite button and it'll send an automatic invitation to them. So another important thing in the profile tab on the bottom is something called settings, which is the gear button on the top right. And here is where you want to make sure all your settings are set. So current membership tells you if you have the free one or the paid Summit Strava. Restore purchases, basically if you've purchased something and you want to restore it, if you maybe had a new phone or something like that. Application and services is where it'll tell you if you have your smartwatch connected to this device or your phone, and then you can also have your health app on your phone linked to Strava as well. So all of that you can do here in the applications and services, and then change password, email, self-explanatory. And then you have the help is where you can actually contact Strava if you have any questions with the app or something's not right with your account. There's FAQs there, and there's also a chat function under support you can use, and then there's also terms and conditions, what's about Strava, and then privacy policy. So next, the units of measurement. So depending on where you're in the world, you can change it to kilometers or miles for the data that you see. So most of the world is kilometers, but in the US we use miles. For default highlighting image, so here is where you can change what you want to show as your default picture after you post a run or a ride. So naturally the default is the map of your route that's going to be posted, but if you like to take pictures while you're out on your run, you can use your self-taken photo as the default image. So this is a cool function that you can adjust according to your liking. Feed ordering is basically if you want to see your news feed based on what Strava thinks you like the most, or you can choose latest activities, meaning that anything that will be done, all of the activities you see will be done in chronological order. So next we have something called Siri and shortcuts. So I haven't really used this extensively. So if you have like a Bluetooth headset, you don't want to use your phone, you can set up Siri to record a run or pause a run and resume my activity. So this is pretty cool, but I haven't really used it much. Then you have Beacon, which is a STRAVA Summit feature, is where someone else can live track you if you want someone to track you on a race or something like that. Partner integrations basically is Strava. They can show unique or interesting content in the feed that isn't available on other activities. So these include links for your followers to learn more, and you have control of these integrations and you can change them anytime without these settings. So basically if you partner with any other apps or services outside, you can set those there. So privacy controls where you can set who can see your activities or profiles, so similar to other social media. Then you have privacy zones is where you can set a zone on an area in the map where you run so nobody else can see where you ran. So if you want to hide where you're located at, this is a place where you can set privacy zones so Strava won't display any runs you've done in that specific zone to hide it from the public. Next you have Metro and heat maps. So basically this, if you check it, Strava will use your running data to help improve their overall maps. So the data is to inform urban planners and advocacy groups about human-powered transportation trends. So all of the activities that you upload, Strava will use basically and quote-unquote try to improve their maps. So this is something basically if you're giving Strava your data, they can use it. So that's up to you if you want to check. So yeah, this is your privacy control screen. So if you're a private person, you don't like showing people where you run and where you live, so you'll definitely want to adjust some of these controls. So in Strava, you'll come across members who have these badges next to their profile picture. Basically, it means one of these four things. So if he has a double hollow arrow, it's their employees of Strava. The most common one you'll see is Summit members on the bottom. And then you'll see the double solid arrow is for pros of the sport. And then lastly, the check mark is for verified athletes. Thank you guys for watching this video. Now that your Strava is all set and ready to go out there and get those miles. And if you have any questions, comments, and feedback, please feel free to leave them down below. And again, please click that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys on the next run.